This is Gerardo Del Real with Resource Stock Digest. Joining me today is the chairman and CEO of Hannan Metals, Mr. Michael Hudson. Mike, great to have you back on. How are you today, sir?
Very well, thanks, Gerardo. Thanks as always.
Well, listen, we had a bit of an overreaction to the last bit of news, which was basically that, you drilled into a system, but it wasn't the system that was the host rock for the gold, right? And so it was a technical success in the sense that we learned what not to drill into, but definitely, not what everybody in a perfect world would have wanted, including you and I, which is a discovery on hole one, which we know is the exception, not the rule. That has been followed up by some really good buying in the market, people swooping up those cheap shares, and they've already been rewarded with the news that you had today. You just expanded the Previsto gold prospect footprint by 2.1 kilometers. And not only did you do that, but you did it in sedimentary hosted rocks, which of course is the same type of host, or similar, I should say, to Carlin type deposit. So that news was well received. The stock was up some 10% on pretty solid volume. I would love some context on it. This was a pleasant surprise.
Previsto will continue to give us pleasant surprises, I think, Gerardo. It's a big system. It's a multi-phase system that's now showing itself with many different faces, I suppose, to not talk about it too technically. Just to go back, we've had this very large soil anomaly, 5 by 5 kilometers, and we started to find, as we prospected, and it's hard to think, but it's only about a year old, this whole discovery, as we've been going into it, other than a few boulders we found down creeks a few years ago. So the first outcrops we announced earlier this year of high grades, and it was in intrusive rocks, in potassic-rich rocks, low silica rocks, so the technical there, but that means it's what we'd found before is an alkaline gold system, and that's still where the best part of the system appears to be at the moment. But what we don't know is much more than what we know in this area, right? It's a huge and vast area that we're just starting to unpeel. So we had this alkaline gold system in these intrusive rocks, and that still remains a key focus, but we knew the system is much larger, and it's going to still get a lot larger. And we went to the southwest by 1.3 to 2.1 kilometers from our high-grade areas, and we found, what I refer to as another sea of gold. Low grades, up to about 0.9 grams, so didn't nail down any of the high grades in this area. But what was most interesting is that the system continues, but into these different host rocks that you're talking about. So we moved out of the intrusive and moved into these siltstones and limestones, and the gold is still hosted in these rocks, and it's extensive. It was over a large area. It was over a 2 kilometer by 0.8 kilometer area that we focused on that month of work, that it forms the basis of this press release, and it just shows that this system is big. It's pumping a lot of gold into a lot of different rocks, and we're learning all the time just where those higher grades just may exist, and that is now very much our focus. We know we've got a very big system, and we're really trying to understand the controls on gold and prospecting and looking for more high grades, which I have no doubt will come.
You mentioned something subtly in the news release that I caught, and that's that you're looking to get as much data on this a new system here, a new part of the system, to integrate it with the upcoming Previsto drill permit application. Can you speak to how you prioritize that? Because look, it's champagne problems to have a sea of gold. That's great, but it's a vast area, right? How are you approaching that, Mike? How are you and the team approaching that?
Well, it's a challenge basically, but simply put, we're looking for grade, like I was talking about. We know we're in the system, and what's the old cliche? You lose the forest for the trees. So you've got to step back and try and determine what those controls on the high grades are, and and we know we've trenched hundreds of meters at plus gram material, and 25 meters I think we trenched at plus 5 gram material. So we've got some indications, and we've extended those high grades over hundreds of meters from that initial trench that I spoke about. So now we're really going back and trying to unravel what is a very hard area. It should be. This is highly steep jungle covered terrain. So it's not as if we're just walking up to outcrops and rock chipping. We've got to go and find where the rock is coming to the surface, and then peel back a vegetation to try and uncover it. So it's layer upon layer of sort of masking. But when you can start to become predictive, and I think we're starting to get to that stage now where we can become predictive about the controls, and then you go and look along the extensions of those controls where you're predicting, just literally along strike. So that's where the exploration's at, and so that's obviously we'll put the drill pads that we're now forming in and around the higher grade parts. We don't have to define the system in day one. Cripple Creek's been mined since something like 1890. So it's had 130 years to reveal itself. So we just got to find the better parts of the system as early as possible, and that's not always easy, but that's our job to de-risk by good science and rigor and hard work.
Now, look, frontier exploration at its finest. I know that the permitting is advancing at Previsto. I know that you're doing a lot of the behind-the-scenes work. I'm looking forward to having you back on to get an update there, and absolutely looking forward to catching up with you at Beaver Creek at the Precious Metals Summit. Gold just touched a brand new record high. It seems like it wants to go higher with global yields continuing to rise on an almost daily basis, debt levels at unprecedented levels. It's exciting, volatile, but exciting times, Mike. Looking forward to having you back on. Anything to add to that?
It's a great time to have a massive early stage gold discovery.
Couldn't agree with you more. Cheers, Mike. We'll chat soon.
Thanks, Gerardo.
Hey everybody, Gerardo Del Real here. If you're enjoying the content that you just saw, you can let us know in 3 simple steps. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and please share across your network and on social media. Take care, everybody.